here we go. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'm Gwen Howard, Chair of the Metropolitan Utilities District Board of Directors, and I would like to welcome you all to the committee meetings this afternoon, February 4th, 2026. This meeting is being live streamed from the boardroom at the M.U.D headquarters building located at 7350 World Communications Drive. A recording of this meeting will be uploaded to the M.U.D website after the meeting's conclusion. I'd like to invite Vice President of Safety and Security, Shane Hunter, to provide a briefing regarding protocol for all individuals in attendance at the board meeting today in the event of an emergency.
Good afternoon, Shane Hunter, Vice President of Safety and Security. We're on the first floor here at M.U.D headquarters, and normal entrance and exit from this room will be at the back. There's another exit here on the right-hand side that we can use to exit this room in an emergency. Behind that same door, you'll notice there's a hallway, and that hallway is the nearest fire extinguisher and first aid kit. A little bit further down the right is the nearest AED. With the location of that AED in mind, show of hands, CPR and AED trained? Thank you. Should a medical emergency occur today, the 911 will be contacted by the security desk, who will escort EMS personnel into this space. If we need to leave this room, we can use any of the doors I've identified. If we need to leave the building for any reason, we can go through this door on the right, take two lefts, and end up in the parking garage for accountability. That concludes the safety briefing.
Thank you. Roll call.
Cook. Here. Friend.
Here.
Sidzik.
Here.
McGowan.
Here.
Howard.
Here.
Kavanaugh.
Here.
Begley.
Here.
I would like to advise all those in attendance that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available on the wall in the back of the boardroom. Senior Vice President and Chief Operations Officer Kendall Miner will review the proposed capital expenditures behind tab 5.
Good afternoon. For the month of February, we've got quite a few items. We have 6 items for buildings, plants, and equipment, 5 items for system improvements. A lot of the items we have are going to be gas related. Just want to take a moment to say that our gas operations team did a really good job doing this cold spill. Jim Knight's going to come up and give you guys an overview here in a little bit. But operations on the gas side did a great job doing the cold spill. So the first item I want to talk about with buildings, plants, and equipment, item number 1, the OPPD North Omaha plant, is the purchase and install of the ultrasonic gas meter and associated piping at $1.8 million. This is an item that was brought to the board originally in July of 2024, where CHI did the design of the gas feed piping and meters. This work is going to be scheduled to be completed or partner with Q3 for install of this meter set, and district staff will inspect the system, the connection of the piping, implementation of new controls, and so on once construction is completed. The next item I want to highlight is item number 4, LNG tank, item number 4 for LNG, 117th and 63rd Street propane, air, and LNG SCADA hardware and software upgrades. IT is requested to replace the SCADA system and hardware and software at the LNG plant, 63rd and 117th propane air plants. The project will consist of procurement, installation, and implementation of 9 servers, 12 monitors, 4 quad desktop stands, one new engineering workstation PC, and all software updates. The next item I want to highlight on the system improvements, item number 1. All of the system improvements are gas main and regulator replacements. This one is $335,000. This is to replace an existing below-ground regulator station, which is currently budgeted to be relocated to be an above-ground regulator station. This new regulator station will provide a greater operational flexibility and improve reliability with the future presence of with future pressure increases. And with that, I will conclude these capital expenditures. Any questions, concerns?
Mr. Miner, remind me on the install part of it, because the job number has a couple of different amounts, 600,000 and then 1.2. Which one is to install the piping and the meter set is my first question.
The install of the meter set is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, the $600,000 100,000, I'm sorry, excuse me, the 1.2 million. And then
Okay.
the actual meter set is 600,000.
Okay, so remind me, we may have discussed this before, Mark, and I don't remember, Mr. Doyle, if you and I maybe discussed it. Tell me again why our people are not installing this?
Yeah. We mentioned this before and talked about it a little bit briefly. This is something that's more of a specialty item. This large meter set is not something that we normally traditionally install in-house. We don't even design these in-house. And we have previously provided some additional information as well, showing, that we just didn't have the expertise to do that. And so that's why we are partnering with Q3 to do the install for this. We actually already had some conversations internally with construction as well as engineering to coordinate, how we're going to do this and, moving forward.
So is this like a one-of-one item?
Director Friend, Mark Doyle, President, we have had some more discussion leading up to this item and this board meeting because we did have a pretty good discussion when it first came up. And, as I recall, whether we talked about it one-on-one, I'm not sure. I'm convinced it's the right way to go, and we could say it's complex and stuff, but Vice President Jim Knight, when we got to talking about it, reminded me, and I'm almost tempted to ask you to come up and talk about there you are. You know what I'm saying? We had a pretty good discussion about what this really is, not just the complexity, but the critical nature and the kind of revenue we're talking about, or the kind of service we're talking about here.
Sure. Jim Knight, Vice President, Gas Operations. This meter set is really the equivalent of a Northern Natural Gas, one of our large town border stations. In fact, this meter will be the largest. It can measure the most amount of gas of any meter in the system by a long ways. So it is nothing that, it's not that our crews couldn't do it, but this is not something they do on a regular basis. This is something Northern builds.
So this is not like a meter set you see hanging on the side of even a large industrial user? This is more like an entire TBS?
I'll give you an
Okay.
example. Like one of our larger industrial customers might use 5,000 a day. This facility could use up to 3,000 to 4,000 an hour. Okay, it's an order of magnitude larger than any of our other largest customers. It's like our, the TBS at 84th and Center.
When might we see another job like this, of this complexity and size?
I don't know if you'll ever see, until we replace it again. Yeah, I'm serious. Or OBBD builds another large gas power plant. Those are the only facilities that take this quantity of gas.
Okay, I guess I was asking just if it would be beneficial to have our guys in the mix so they could get the education or the expertise to do it.
That's a good question, but I think this is once per career.
I was going to go out on a limb with that, so I'm glad Mr. Knight answered it, but I don't think we'll be seeing this again. And that's why you have to weigh, is it beneficial or not? It's not like we don't pay attention to this sort of thing. I mean,
Right.
it's part of our, but yeah, it's a great question, and that's, if it's something that we're going to do every year or two or three or several times, that's a different discussion, so.
Thank you.
I mean, this meter was originally built like in the 50s and then updated in the late 80s, and we really haven't touched it since. So, thank you.
It's
Thank
on
you.
a plant that gets a lot of attention these days.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It tends to, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Director of Plant Engineering Trevor Tonages will review the acceptance of contracts and payment of final estimates behind tab 6.
Good afternoon. Trevor Tonages, Director of Plant Engineering. Pretty small, at least in terms of dollar-wise, set of projects this month. We have 4 of them that we'd like to final. I can talk a little bit about each of them. Item A was for the replacement of an underground storage tank at the Platte South water treatment facility. That came in a little bit under due to some appurtenances and extras, an alternate bid that we didn't end up installing. Item B was a smaller development project. This was near 204th and F, about 380 feet of 12-inch and a couple hundred feet of 8-inch water main that were added to the system. Item C was a project to abandon and replace 3 large valves. Unfortunately, we were only able to get to 2 of them. We ran into some right-of-way coordination issues that prevented us from doing the last one, and we worked with the Water Operations Department on that last valve. It was stuck in a fairly, not all the way open, but mostly open position, so we're going to leave that one live for now. And then finally, item D was a project to improve the north parking lot at our construction center, so just pavement repairs and some replacement there. So that is all I have, unless anybody has any questions for me. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Director of Program Management, Emily Hovda-Walton, will review the change order for the Platte West Lime Grit Removal System upgrades behind tab 7.
Good afternoon. Emily Hovda-Walton, Director of Program Management. I have change order number 4 regarding the Platte West Lime Grit Removal System upgrades. This contract was awarded to Building Crafts in November of 2023. The current contract price is roughly $1.29 million. Change order number 4 proposes a net increase of 3%, or $39,420.30. If approved, this would bring the project to $1,333,663.69. There are 4 specific items within this change order. First is a credit for removing the required field-applied coatings on the ductile iron pipe. Our team determined that the factory-applied coating is more than adequate for these specific areas and allowing us to reduce the cost without compromising quality. Second and third include replacing flexible hosing with permanent hard piping for both the north and south systems. This improvement allows for higher efficiency and future ease of maintenance. Fourth item is a no-cost administrative change. It aligns the current duration with the project schedule. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President of Procurement and Enterprise Services, John Zellers, will now review the bids on materials and contracts behind tab 8.
Good afternoon. John Zellers, Vice President of Procurement and Enterprise Services. I forgot what I did here. Bids on materials and contracts may be found under tab 8, and I will be going over several items with the first at the bottom of page 1. We are asking for ratification to extend the agreement and support subscription for Cisco's contact center with call center analytics from Calabrio. IT worked with Sirius CDW on extending services, knowing that savings would be made by entering into an agreement before the end of 2025. The agreement secures fixed pricing over the next 5 years and includes an advanced analytic module valued at $500,000 at no additional cost. The agreement moves our current contact center infrastructure to the cloud, eliminating the need for future hardware purchases, streamlines support, and positions the organization for greater scalability and efficiency. The analytics module by Calabrio allows for advanced quality assurance where all calls received from the call center will be analyzed. Using AI to learn and understand customer pain points will identify areas of additional training and thus enhance our ability to better the customer experience. The board may recall awarding a 3-year contract for Cisco SmartNet in January of 2024, in which Sirius CDW was awarded the contract through an open bidding process. Under this contract, Sirius CDW receives the best pricing from Cisco for their products. The bid value that is shown in the letter is for a 5-year term and will be paid through annual installments. The next several items may be found on page 2. We accepted bids for the chemical building fall protection project. We originally bid this project in October of 2025 and only received a single bid which exceeded budget and was rejected. The scope of the project was reviewed and modified with the intent to rebid and attract more bidders. This time we received 2 bids, both of which exceed budget. Engineering, safety, and water operations recommend rejecting the bids, and they will work together to revise the complete scope of the work, to find a solution within budget. We are also recommending the rejection of bids for the replacement of the north and south upflow basins at Platte South as they exceed budget. Upon speaking with the contractors and our design consultant, we believe more favorable bids can be obtained through modifying the design specifications and scope of the work. We are recommending a contract with Patriot Crane to move heavy shop equipment from C-Circle to CC2. Patriot previously moved the equipment to C-Circle back in 2021 when we had to vacate CC1. They did so successfully with minimum downtime of the equipment. Patriot has the appropriate resources and expertise to effectively move not only heavy equipment, but high-value specialized equipment used in our central maintenance machine, blacksmith, carpentry, and electrical shops, and field services and constructions weld shops. The equipment includes multiple welders, drill presses, CNC machine, CNC lathe, a 50-ton press, and multiple cranes. Funds for this work in the amount of approximately $396,000 was included in the insurance proceeds we received as part of the CC1 settlement damage claim. Lastly, on this page, we are recommending the price extension from Body Basics for CC2 fitness equipment. The bid is for the exact same equipment as CC1. Body Basics agreed to hold pricing from that purchase. The last several items may be found on page 4. At the top of the page, we are recommending Backlund Plumbing to perform sanitary sewer lateral inspections for crossbores caused by recent natural gas pipe installations. The board may recall last February that we accepted bids for this work in which the low bid was recommended and approved. The awarded contractor over the last year did not consistently demonstrate satisfactory performance in meeting contract requirements. Backlund was the second low bidder at that time and has agreed to hold their total pricing for the first year of this 3 contract that's in front of you today. Pricing for subsequent years will be renegotiated and brought back to the board for approval. We are also recommending the extension of Backlund's contract to continue performing sanitary sewer lateral launch inspections as part of our cross-border program. Last year, we bid this work in which Backlund was the low bidder. They have agreed to hold pricing from last year for the first year of the 3-year contract. Pricing for subsequent years will be renegotiated and brought back to the board for approval as well. The next item is an extension of a service agreement for elevator inspection and maintenance services at HQ, Operations Center, Platte South, and Florence. In total, there are 5 elevators at these locations in which annually they are inspected and preventative maintenance is performed. This extension is for 5 years, paid annually, and is recommended for board approval. Lastly, we are recommending the extension of ground maintenance services at various water facilities, which includes 15 pump station and reservoir sites and 8 well sites. Nebraska Concrete has agreed to hold pricing from 2025. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
John, back to page 2. Does each one of our facilities have workout centers to use?
HQ does, CC1, so the 63rd Street campus, and the CC2 will.
This place does not?
Yes, HQ, yes.
Oh, HQ, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
sir.
And CC1 and 2? will?
Correct.
Okay. I want to make sure everybody has the same opportunity to use the equipment.
Maybe mention where Mark Doyle, president, where we don't have them at the plants.
Yeah, we don't have them at the plant, so none of the 4 plant facilities do not have them, but they have opportunities to use the one at CC1, CC2, or will at CC2, and here at HQ.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
John, sorry, before you go, the Sirius contracts, or the Cisco contact for the Cisco Contact Center, you'd mentioned AI. Can you elaborate a little bit on what AI is going to be doing in that function?
I cannot, but I could refer to Ms. Mueller.
I ask because AI is a buzzword right now that drew my antenna, that workers throughout the country are very concerned about the impact that AI will potentially have on their position or any position throughout the country. So,
It's
Mr.
a
Doyle.
concern, Mark Doyle, president. I wasn't going to talk about it unless it was asked, and I understand, Director Begley. I like to use the term analytics, which I think John used in the description. AI's, it's some things and it's not other things. But in our case, this type of software, and I'm going to speak in hypotheticals, but these are the kind of things that we're already testing and working with. The analytics of call center software can actually take a look at every call and summarize them for agents. And we have, and I'll let someone correct me if I'm wrong, but again, I want to speak at a high level here to show you the kind of things we're doing, not to eliminate jobs, but to enhance customer service in this case. So if we have a couple of quality assurance agents that randomly listen to calls to hear for things that we can coach and work on, the difference in the future could be that every call is analyzed and the software actually can, for example, say, the tone of one of these parties wasn't good, so the QA agents can look at the analytics and say, pick calls that really they need to listen to that they would never find otherwise. And either our agent needs some coaching or we need to say, you should have escalated that call, you don't have to deal with that. That's one small example, but the ability to have every call summarized, where I could even go look at the couple paragraphs of a summary. Now, in the near term, it might get the names wrong. It might, so we're aware of that, and we are working internally in our IT department to make sure that when we do adopt some sort of AI, that there are guidelines and policies, and what you will use will be what we allow you to use, those kind of things.
That's helpful, thank you. And using AI as a tool for our employees, I think is terrific.
Yeah.
But having that human contact, I think we've all made calls to a credit card company or a health insurance company that I just want to talk to a damn human being. So, so long as I'm on the board, I will always advocate for having that human contact for customer service for our customer owners to call into.
That's a great point. I don't, at this time, that isn't the objective, and I'll be talking.
Understood. I just wanted to, as long as we're talking about it,
the
sure.
objective would be to help with customer service and the ability to really optimize how well we can find calls that need to be talked about. Because we don't hear it, so, we don't hear it. So, but that's, I believe in talking to a human being as well.
Thank you.
No, I think Jim makes a really important point. And along with it, I think it's going to be vital how it's introduced to the employees as being useful to them rather than being intimidating, that they'll be checked on or in some way inspected by AI.
Yeah, but great point, but our employees are fully aware that every single call is recorded, and every time we get an issue, whether it comes internally or through you, we do listen to calls. We have to. And that helps. People know that, we are listening to calls, and it's just like GPS in the vehicles. It helps us defend our employees as well. But these are points well taken, and we're not going to be reckless with this as long as I have anything to say about it. So.
And I hope that we never get to the point where a person cannot request a human to talk to if they just are not having a good exchange. Always have that option. Let me talk to a real person.
As it is today. Yes.
Yeah, it's clear the board supports using humans
Yes.
for answering these questions.
We're pro-human. That's terrific.
We're pro-human, absolutely.
You sang a song about that.
No, I just thought about an AI board of directors, and that's what made me laugh just now.
How would I know if that's not the case? Yeah. Thank you for the questions. I think that's a good discussion to have. And we can give you periodic updates on in the big picture, because you hear what, you heard Amazon laid off a few people lately. That's why. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Vice President of Engineering, Masania, will now review the proposed main extensions behind tab 9.
Good afternoon. Masania, Vice President of Engineering. Behind tab 9, you'll find the main extensions letter, and this month we have one gas and one water project. These projects include gas service to 43 residential lots, along with available water service and fire protection for 267 residential lots, as well as 5 outlots. I'd like to highlight project number 2 on the letter. I've got a map here to share. It is McArdle Ridge Subdivision. It's a large development located southwest of 192nd and Ida Street. The project includes approximately 4 miles of new water mains, with a little over a mile of that being a new approach main along Ida Street. There's a total of approximately $221,000 of Pioneer main fees being collected for this project. As you can see in this image here, there's quite a bit of undeveloped land or greenfield in the surrounding area. This includes a few developments labeled here that will be presented to the board for future approval that's currently in design. And on the second slide, I want to take a zoom out to show a broader view of the entire area. It shows a lot more greenfield and future potential development for that area to the north and to the west. I would like to point out there's a natural barrier called the Elkhorn Ridge Line. If you hadn't heard that before, it's a high point between the Elkhorn River on the left side of this map and the Missouri River, of course, far off to the right side or east of this map. It's the way I would describe that ridge line. It's like the Continental Divide. If there's water on the west side, it flows towards the Elkhorn. To the east side, it'll go towards the Missouri. So why that matters for development is that with the flow towards the Missouri, the sewer system is built much more efficiently, and that way it allows for more cost-effective development in that area. So as development moves towards that Elkhorn Ridge, which is essentially in that map where Elkhorn Mount Michael is shown there. I know it's a little small there, but it's about the left quarter of the map, and it goes northerly along there. So our system will follow development where that occurs with the sewer system towards the west, and then north from there. So really, growing towards Valley will be a challenge, at least for developments to grow efficiently in that direction. So just wanted to share that, and of course our water system is growing elsewhere in Sarpy County as well to the south, so this is just one example of that. Finally, I'd like to briefly cover, as I mentioned, large projects that involve like 4 miles of water main extension. These are done by our district employees that are diligently working through the whole process of a main extension from inception to being put in service. So it starts with our main extension coordinator coordinating this work with our designers and our CAD techs. That moves on to our project engineers, working with the procurement team to make sure we've got good specifications to go out for advertisement and bid. And once it gets out in the field with our field personnel, making sure that the water mains are installed per our standards, and the water is safe and ready to be tapped in the future. So I mentioned large projects. There's a lot of people, a team behind it, and I really appreciate their effort there and the board's support for these developments.
Masa, is there gas service available as part of this?
Yes. For the McArdle Ridge subdivision, this entire area that I had shown there, that is M.U.D's service territory, and McArdle Ridge did ask for our gas service, so that'll be presented to the board in the future. That is all I plan to cover. I'd be happy to answer any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Masa. Vice President of Human Resources Bonnie Savine will now review employee wage and/or salary increases and ratifications behind tab 10, and feel free to go on to tab 11 as well.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Bonnie Savine, Vice President, Human Resources. We'll recap employee counts here briefly for the end of January 2025 and 26. On January 31st, 2025, there were 892 regular full-time employees with 3 regular part-time employees. That totals 895. And to end this January, there were 919 regular full-time and 4 regular part-time for a total of 923 regular employees. We also still had 11 interns on staff. And taking a quick look at jobs actively in the job placement process, we have 10 jobs that have requisitions that are routing for approval. That means job descriptions are being reviewed and approvals for postings are occurring. We have 2 jobs that are posted right now to fill 11 vacancies. One of those is posted internally and externally, and then we have one that is external only. Pipe layer trainee is out there. We have 25 jobs in the application review or interview stages. That's where the bulk of our current vacant openings are, 36 full-time equivalents and 1 intern. And then we have 3 jobs that have selected candidates. They will be onboarding here very soon. Behind tab 10, you'll find the wage and/or salary increases and ratifications letter. While we have no ratifications this month, we do have increases for 18 employees. 10 of those employees are OAC, and they are being promoted through the normal job posting process. We also have 6 OAC employees receiving promotions through the natural progression part of their job family. And then finally, we have 2 OAC employees, well, 1 non-non and 1 OAC employee, that are being promoted to SPA positions, again, through the job posting process. Are there any questions on that letter? Thank you. And then moving on to tab 11, we have the recommendation for the annual adjustment to the SPA salary scales. The scales are reviewed on an annual basis, and recommendations for adjustments are brought to the board as part of our normal compensation cycle process. The recommended adjustment is a collective effort, and several factors are taken into consideration. Management's recommendation for the 2026 SPA salary scale adjustment is 4%. The adjustment is applied to the minimum and maximums of each salary scale. SPA employees then are also eligible for an annual general increase up to the 4% based on their 2025 annual performance rating per our compensation guidelines. Those were attached to the letter. The recommended increase is within the approved 2026 budget and will be effective March 1st. Are there questions on that letter? Thank you.
Government Relations Attorney Rick Kubat will now review the first legislative report for 2026 behind tab 12. Welcome, Rick.
Good afternoon. Rick Kubat, Government Relations. On tab 12 is your very first legislative report. As it indicates, our friends in Lincoln started on January 7th for the short session, which is a 60-day session, and are tentatively scheduled to adjourn in mid-April. One of the big issues the legislature is grappling with is trying to address a roughly $470 million budget shortfall. This being the short session means that bills introduced last year can carry over into this session. So those bills are on the last portion of this. I will not be addressing those unless there's any questions. But getting right into it, I'm not going to cover them all, but a few highlights, starting with the first bill, LB 761. In terms of the district, that bill does a couple of things. It provides essentially an inflationary adjustment for well permitting and fees. They're going to increase those costs from $40 to $200. This is a one-time fee adjustment for every time we establish a new well or we need to rehab a well. So in terms of the fiscal impact, that one should be pretty nominal in the sense that when we put in a new well, those are significant dollars, and rehabbing a well are significant dollars. A new fee that the Department of Water, Energy, Environment is placing is we're now essentially going to have to pay administrative cost for the department to administer permits under the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System program. Those permits are provided at all 3 of our plants for dealing with residuals that we have after we're done cleaning water. Moving on from there, on the second page is LB 901. This is a placeholder bill by the Revenue Committee that provides for a yet-to-be-determined increase in state sales and use tax, which is currently at 5.5%. I know this board has heard me talk about the fact that most of the inputs and materials that we procure are not exempt from sales tax. We pay sales and use tax on most items. It's incorporated into our bill, and then our customers pay sales and use tax a second time, with the exception a couple of years ago, residential water was exempted from state sales tax. So our opposition to that is to inform the Revenue Committee we're already essentially being double taxed on most items, and it goes into affordability issues for our customers. Skipping a bill and then moving on to LB 964 from Senator Bostar, that bill would mandate public hearings for the selling, leasing, and purchasing of property. We essentially already do this. One of the issues with that bill is a 2-month time frame, and it often, after board approval, in terms of property procurement, that period of time will often be longer than 2 months. We could probably live with that change if that period of time was something more akin to a 6-month period of time. More importantly, what we'd like to see done with this bill is for easements to be exempt. We do numerous easements on a monthly basis with several parties involved, and the idea of having to bring those in front of the board for approval with a 2-month timing requirement would be excessively cumbersome. So the easement portion's a problem, but we're hopeful that we can at least get easements excluded from that bill as we move forward. Skipping on down to LB 1093 by Senator Ballard, this bill was brought on behalf of fiber companies that essentially want to see items buried at a depth of 18 inches or less to be exempt from one call. This goes to safety and security issues, and is an item that I think that the district should certainly oppose. The next bill, LB 1096 from Senator Bostar, is a combination of probably 3 to 5 bills all in one. It does a lot of different things. Our colleagues down at the City of Lincoln, one aspect of the bill that we're supportive and that we like is it exempts critical water infrastructure information from items that have to be provided for public disclosure. When it goes to safety and security, we certainly support that provision of the bill. This is also a foreign adversary bill where there are multiple components on the information technology front that requires reporting and information provided to the Attorney General's office. I'm thankful in working with Jensen that we were able to provide some of our concerns on how broad that language was and bring it to the attention of the executive branch's policy research office. And I'm hoping that some aspects as it relates to the foreign adversary portion can be improved from the district's perspective in terms of its cumbersome nature. In all likelihood, really with this one, we have a stated neutral position, but I'm asking some latitude from the board that we support a portion of it. If we can get some language changes, we may even move into a supportive position, specifically as it relates to hopefully we can get some changes on the information technology front. Moving on from that one, the next one that I just want to briefly mention is a is the last bill by Senator McKinney, which mandates all sort of practices in terms of providing information to bidders, unsuccessful bidders, and registration with the state in terms of our bidding processes. This one is mildly problematic, especially as it relates to closing out contracts, which, as I understand it, are brought to the board. Those are usually done within 45 days. This bill would mandate 30 days for our general closeouts. With that, I think that covers at least the ones that I wanted to bring to the board's attention, and am happy to answer any questions.
I have a question about what Senator McKinney, what I'm assuming Senator McKinney is trying to address in the introduction of the bill, and I guess ask about our contracting process just within our own agency. Let's say you were brand new and you wanted to put forward a proposal, RFP. Do you feel, or anybody who could jump right up here and say that it would be transparent, let's say going forward, about how to compete, what the parameters were, what the proposal was asking for? Let's just focus now on physical stuff versus consulting services. Oh, here comes John Zellers.
I've leaned a lot on John as it relates to that, and I'm going to be a coward on this one and turn it over to John.
Tap out. Thank you.
Good afternoon, John Zellers, Vice President, Procurement and Enterprise Services. So I have shared with the board in the past that we actually have implemented an e-procurement program or platform where it is open to the public. You don't even have to be registered to see what we have out for bids today. There's a calendar that can be shown on the homepage that shows all the bid opportunities that have been assigned bid opening dates. With this platform, we solicit bids, and so everything you see on the bid letter is primarily done through Procureware. There are some nuances. RFPs, so even though we're talking about materials and services and so forth, but even professional services, we use Procureware for that as well. It is fully transparent. Once the bids are opened, which we have started doing that electronically as well, they are then posted so that all the bidders and anyone of interest can go and see what those bids were. Contracts and specifications on there. You can see the full detail of what it is that we're asking for, all the unit quantities, where we're asking for pricing. I would say it's a very transparent process, and I would say that I don't want to go out and say that we're leading, but I would say that we're one of the few in the state of Nebraska that is using this type of platform.
Thank you. I would go as far as saying we're leading, and when I run into Senator McKinney, I think I'll bring that up, and not to tell Mr. Kubat what to do in his job. It might be fun to mention that to Senator McKinney's staff, like, hey, so glad you brought this up, and look, we're leading the way, blah, blah, blah. Having no idea, what his motivations are for bringing it, or how serious, or, all of that. Thank you.
And I would like to share, if I may, we also have engaged in the community for different types of events to educate small businesses primarily on our procurement process. So we have engaged with UNO, we have engaged with the Chamber's REACH program, and we have engaged with Metro Community College as well. And probably, what's that? Oh, and Sarpy County here recently, but easily probably 4 to 6 times during the year.
Great.
Right,
Yay us. Thank you.
Any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Assistant General Counsel Joseph Clem will review the condemnation authority request for Mangold Land Company behind tab 13.
Good afternoon. Joseph Kem, Assistant General Counsel. District Management is requesting that the board approve the resolution found behind tab 13 that would authorize the district to acquire 2 permanent easements using eminent domain. These permanent easements are located adjacent to the intersection of Blair High Road and Bennington Road, so Highway 133 and Highway 36. The purpose of the easements would be to install water mains to supply water to the McGill Industrial Park subdivision. The district is attempting to acquire these easements from the owner by agreement. Those efforts are ongoing, but as of today, there is no final agreement, so we are asking the board to authorize acquiring these easements via eminent domain, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Am I recalling that we've been having these conversations with this, is it a farm, like a gentleman who's been here for a while?
Yeah.
He's been there for a while, and we've been in these conversations over this for a considerable amount of time.
Yes, that's correct.
Is it the price, or just leave me alone, I'm not leaving, you, that kind of conversation?
Well, so the negotiations have been going on for some time, months, and actually since submitting my memo last Thursday, there's been significant progress in those negotiations. Cautiously optimistic, but again, there is no final agreement. To your question, what is the sticking point? It's always kind of 2 things: price and then requests. The owner is represented by counsel. There are requests for certain provisions in the easement agreement, some of which are acceptable and some of which, in our judgment, are not. So it's those 2 things. Again, cautiously optimistic we can acquire these by agreement without the use of eminent domain, but you just never know.
Okay, well, we have a deadline. If they, is it on here? If they don't do it by this time, we will execute.
I believe the status of that is, I don't know a hard and fast date, but certainly I think our intention, if we can't come to agreement within a week or 10 days, I think we would want to initiate condemnation proceedings in that ballpark.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Joe, this is just to state that this is just to lay water mains infrastructure, not a taking of land, to put the land back to the condition as it appears now. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is our practice. We restore the land as best we can to its condition prior to us going in there. That's correct.
And this is to provide or to supply water to the entire subdivision?
That's correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President of Accounting, Robert Kreiser, will now present the 2025 investment review for the retirement plan and other post-employment benefits behind tab A.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Robert Kreiser, Vice President of Accounting. Behind tab A, you will find a memo related to the pension and OPEB trust accounts. This memo is informational only and does not require a vote of the board. The memo contains a brief summary of the investment performance for the pension and OPEB trust accounts for the year ended December 31st, 2025. These investments have performed well throughout the year, with a full year return of 16.94% for the pension plan and 18.15% for the OPEB plan, and these returns are net of fees. I would like to introduce Braden Chalaha, Vice President, Senior Relationship Manager at PNC Institutional Asset Management, to present in more detail the investment performance report for 2025. The materials that Braden will be presenting can be found behind tab A in your materials, and it should be noted that Braden presented a more detailed version of this information at the Insurance and Pension Committee meeting held on January 26th. Braden, we appreciate you making the trip up today. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Appreciate the opportunity to be here with you again today. As was mentioned, my name is Braden Chalaha. I am a senior investment advisor with PNC Institutional Asset Management. I have the pleasure of serving the district alongside my partner, who the committee knows, Stephen Shapiro. He's not able to join today, but I want to thank you for your time, your engagement, and most importantly, your continued trust and partnership. We value this relationship greatly and remain committed to providing thoughtful guidance, disciplined oversight, and proactive support. 2025 was actually the first full calendar year of our engagement with the district, and I believe that time was fairly impactful. We were able to move ahead with some policy updates and oversee the investments as they moved closer to strategic objectives. It was also a very interesting time for the markets. We had a new administration in the United States, and that brought with it new priorities. And at times, the market was uncertain as to how these priorities would impact the direction of corporate earnings and really the global economy. The market tends to dislike periods of uncertainty, and this certainly caused a dramatic pullback early in the year. On page 2, you see here, we highlight intra-year pullbacks going back into the 90s. And as you can see, the market trends tends to rebound pretty quickly from lows, and 2025, if we could roll back to page 2, was no different, as fear of these policy changes was certainly far worse than the impact, and the markets came roaring back from a very quick downturn in April, ending the years up 18% for the S&P 500, from a trough of down 18%. So this left the 2025 year as a stark reminder of why, as long-term investors, we stay anchored in strategic allocations and long-term goals. For investors that allowed emotion to overtake reason, rushing to liquidate at peak fear, they may have had annual returns that were 40% less in certain sectors than investors that had simply stayed the course, as we always advocate for our clients. As you see now on page 3, we have the different asset classes on that page 3, if you would, and how they ended performance for the year. And while 2025 was again a great year for the Magnificent Seven, and ultimately the information technology sector generating roughly 60% of all large cap returns, the real standouts on page 3 were the international stocks, with both developed economies and emerging market equities up over 30%. Here we saw tariffs that were lighter than feared, fiscal stimulus in the EU, in nations particular such as Germany, that were going to drive growth, and an acknowledgement that emerging economies such as China will continue to play an important role in the rush for AI development. And similar to the prior year, the good news is that you again owned all of the right stocks in all of the best performing sectors. And it's often said that the only free lunch in capital markets is diversification, and that is the underlying thesis behind your capital allocation of your investment portfolios, having a fully diversified portfolio in all of the right places at all of the right times. So looking ahead to 2026, despite 3 fantastic years in capital markets, we think that the party continues. PNC expects that we're still in the early innings of an innovation cycle that will continue to boost margins and growth. Despite some concerns around valuation, we would note that valuation, as measured by the price-to-earnings ratio for the S&P 500, started the year at 22 times and ended the year at a like 22 times, with performance being entirely supported by corporate profitability. And looking ahead, we continue to expect earnings growth of 15% in 2026, an acceleration of 3% year on year. Inflation is moderating, and lower interest rates year over year should benefit consumers and corporations alike. We also see a year where government policy will continue to be influential, but is really a tailwind on all fronts. Monetary policy will have the tailwind of continued easing that we expect by mid-year. Fiscal policy should be stimulative with the rollout of the Big Beautiful Bill, $230 billion of tax cuts, and the return of 100% bonus depreciation that will drive investment. And on the policy front, we are in a midterm election year. There is an expectation for the House to turn, resulting in a split legislative. This will reduce the ability of the government to pass new bills, which ultimately increases certainty for the markets, and the markets do appreciate legislative gridlock. Turning to your portfolio on slide 4, we see the investment balance at year end for the retirement plan of roughly $675 million. That is up almost $90 million on the year, driven by the aforementioned strong markets. And as you can see on the right column, we remain in compliance with all of your policy targets. I would also note the decision earlier in 2025 to reduce the REIT allocation from the prior 8% target to the current 4% target added roughly $5 million of these gains. And while we don't always focus on short-term movements, I did want to recognize that early success. Turning then to slide 5, we do highlight the portfolio returns, as Robert mentioned, of roughly 17% for the year, well in excess of your actuarial rate of return target of 6.75%. You can see the market-based impacts being $82 million of gains and $17 million of income, which significantly offset the just under $9 million of net payments to retirees. And as you probably can surmise from this, your employees and retirees are in a great position with a well-funded pension that continues to improve. And one of the initiatives that we've sought to deliver to the committee over the past year has been a quarterly estimate of funded status. And we expect that on an actuarial basis, the pension ended the year at 95.6%, up 2% from year-end 2024. Then on page 6, we see that inclusive of the 2025 return on a longer-term rate of return basis, looking at the 3, 5, 7, and 10-year, all are in excess of your actuarial target, which has allowed the portfolio to continue to improve on its funded ratio. And it's important to focus on these longer-term rates of return, as the quarterly and single annual returns are often more volatile. Then on page 7, I will turn your attention to the OPEB plan. This portfolio has a slightly higher risk allocation resulting from its historically lower funded status. And while with the results of this past year, including an 18% return, as well as continued contributions of roughly $5.2 million, this plan achieved a funded status of 95.6% on a market value basis at year end, and that's compared to just 80.7% to start the year, so a very dramatic increase there. And with that increase, it was exciting to see that this plan made its first payment at the start of 2026. And from what I understand, this progression from a pay-as-you-go plan to one that is now funded has been about a 10-year process, so I just want to say congratulations on having made that milestone achievement. So to summarize, the fiscal conditions of both of your portfolios are in great shape, supported by market returns that have been in excess of actuarial rates. The strategic vision for these assets has been rewarded and remains well positioned to deliver in the years ahead. Much credit is owed to management, the board of the district, for your outstanding stewardship of these assets, and I want to thank you for your time and partnership. Any questions?
Could you tell me again, I know you mentioned it, what was our year-end pension funded percent?
95.6% on an actuarial basis. The OPEB plan was a similar number, 95.6%, the difference being on a market value basis.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
How does that compare nationally?
You are in a much better condition than a lot of the other pensions we see. Certainly, the nature of the markets over the last few years has been an improving story for all, but you are unique in how well funded you are, and the progression of the accounts with an eye forward to taking the rate of return lower, which ultimately does kind of reset the bar on funded status, is an improvement that I can look back on your track record with this account and say, how did we get here? It's very intentional steps and improving steps for the accounts.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, and that making that first payment certainly was a milestone.
Yes.
And we owe a lot of gratitude to the support of the board and our current and past CFOs. Director McGowan, you've taken a deep interest in this, but we appreciate all your time. These committee meetings, it may seem like we breeze through this, but we do go through a lot of detail. Just ask Director Cook's puppy, who's...
My dog attends the WebEx meetings. She becomes jealous when she sees me talking to the screen. So if you've ever attended, you've seen her jump into the group.
We enjoy that, but thank you.
Chief Financial Officer Steve Dickus will review the proposed revisions to the OPEC investment policy statement behind tab 14.
Good afternoon. Steve Dickus, Senior Vice President, Chief Financial Officer. I'll be discussing the information behind tab 14 in your materials, describing some proposed changes to the investment policy statement for the district's other post-employment benefits, or OPEB plan. PNC Institutional Asset Management serves as co-fiduciary and discretionary investment advisor for the assets held in this plan. PNC recently completed a study and is recommending, due in part to strong investment returns and also a favorable experience study and a correspondingly improved funded ratio. Specifically, PNC is recommending that the OPEB trust assets should lower its allocation concentrated in equity investments and also mirror the overall investment allocation of the pension trust assets. Now, these changes include reducing the allocation to domestic U.S. equities from 42% to 38%, and also reducing the allocation to international non-U.S. equities from 29% to 26%. These reductions in equities would be offset by an increase in fixed income investments. Specifically, there will be a 4% increase in U.S. aggregate bonds from 11% to 15%, a 2% increase in intermediate term credit from 9% to 11%, and a 1% increase in short-term credit investments. These allocation changes require revisions to the investment policy statement for the OPEB plan. Copies of these revised statements are included in your materials, along with a memo summarizing the changes to the allocation percentages for the OPEB assets. Additionally, this information was presented to the Insurance Pension Committee at a meeting held on January 26th, and the committee approved the recommendation. I would be happy to answer any questions or direct any questions to Braden if you so choose to ask them.
Steve, when will these revised allocations be effective? When will they implement the changes and become effective?
We would implement those right away, like probably within the next calendar month. Does that sound right?
There wouldn't be any transition, you do it all right away and move to those?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President of Gas Operations, Jim Knight, will give a brief update on gas supply.
Jim Knight, Vice President of Gas Operations. Going to chat a little bit about the cold spell we had over the last 10 days. It was a 10-day event that went from the 22nd to the 31st of January. Had an average temperature of -1 on the 23rd and +2 on the 24th. -7 was the coldest temperature during the 10-day. So it was very cold. We've seen colder where we've seen 20 below. So, but it was cold enough for me. And a few days prior to that cold snap, on January 19th, Northern Natural Gas, our pipeline provider, had a force majeure event up in Minnesota where they had a pipeline go out of service. And this caused some supply disruptions to the market. we lost a very small portion, about 3% of our gas supplies. It wasn't just us, it was majority of Northern's customers that were sourcing gas from that, in that segment of Northern's system. This last weekend, though, good news, Northern has repaired the pipeline and it's back in service. And that must have been a lot of fun fixing that in Minnesota weather in January. So. During that 10-day period, spot market prices really jumped. They averaged $33 a decatherm, with the highest price being $70 on January 23rd, and it dropped down to $67 on the 27th. They were even higher in the Northeast. They reached $120 to $140 a deck. Now, even though these prices were extremely high, they weren't as high as back in 2021 during the polar vortex. We saw prices in the $200 to $300 range during that time frame. It was colder. The cold went further south into the production areas, and so you had more impacts on production, more well freeze-offs. During that 10-day period, our peak send-out was 332,000 decatherms. Our peak shaving plants provided 40% of that supply needed on that day. Quite a departure from 2 weeks prior when sales were a third of that. We were selling 110,000 a day. And Director McGowan was kidding me if we were running LNG or not in those days. The upgraded LNG plant that the board supported performed very well. It was very beneficial during that cold snap. So instead of having to purchase some of these higher price gas, we were able to avoid those spot purchases. And by using our peak shaving supplies, and it saved our customers $27 million over those 10 days. I mentioned the polar vortex from 2021 that happened 5 years ago. Minnesota customers are still paying a surcharge for gas prices paid, those elevated prices back in 2021. They're still paying that until November of 26. I would just like to, echo my thanks for all the team of gas operations who performed very well during guys at the peak shaving plant, systems control, energy acquisitions, as well as, it's definitely a team effort for the gas system performed very well. So engineering, construction, it's a team effort for everybody. So.
Hey, Jim, can you just walk us through briefly, what's the process for having the LNG plant put into use? Like, does Mr. Doyle give you permission? Do you reach out to Mr. Doyle? How does that work?
I have a light switch in my office.
He's got a big button on his desk.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, that's a daily decision. So like going into the cold snap, we'll say Wednesday gas prices were $4, then they went to 10, then they went to 70. And so every morning, and it happens over that 2-hour trading window. So that's a decision my team makes. And obviously I'm talking to senior staff and letting them know, but you're making those decisions during that 2-hour period. And at $70, LNG might be $5. It's kind of no-brainer.
So I would say it feels like a situation room to some degree. Jim mentions LNG, give or takes $5. Propane's what, about 10?
Yeah.
And you only get to do this a few hours a year, hopefully, and maybe not at all. Mm-hmm. So it's not only an opportunity to protect our customers, both in reliability and financially, it's also an opportunity to make sure that we're hitting on all cylinders. Can't say enough how well the team performed from Jim throughout, and it's not just gas acquisition and supply, there's a lot of people involved. But it's very comforting to know how well that went, because we don't know when the next big storm is going to come. And Jim and I, when we were speaking, I picked up a tidbit that I didn't think of. The polar vortex happened later in February, right? And at that time, gas supply is less in the country, and it's a more tenuous situation. So couple things. We hope that doesn't happen. If it does, we know we can get rolling. And we did operate our propane plants, which is great training, right?
Absolutely.
But also to know that we can fire it up. And I don't know if we'll be liquefying at all in the winter, Jim?
Oh, we will be at some point. Oh, yeah.
So you have the ability also to replenish, which we didn't have before, and to also produce twice the amount that we were able to prior to the upgrade.
Correct.
So it's...
Jim, are we liquefying right now?
We are not. We're planning to start 1st of March. Gas prices will be much more beneficial in March than they are right now.
I said to Stephanie Mueller this morning before the meeting, I said, her and her team did a great job on that press release. I said, have we heard any comments from it? She said, no. Anytime you put out good news, nobody says thank you or anything.
That's how it works.
But if we had screwed up and we had had a lot of curtailments and couldn't meet demand, there'd been a lot of it. But, you know, silence is good, I guess. So, Jim, how much with our new LNG, what's our capacity, max capacity?
The LNG plant can produce 150,000 per day, decatherms per day. Before it was 60,000.
Yeah, quite a bit of change. And what was the maximum we hit during this past cold snap?
As far as LNG production, we hit 120,000.
So we still had 30,000 to
Still
spare?
at 30, yeah.
So why did we run propane?
You know what? Because of the temperatures on that day, the system has to be able to take it from that location. It was cold. So if it was even colder, we could have produced more LNG. We had Northern backed off to 0 at that town border station. Some of it was just where it comes into our gas system. And so we needed a little supplement to get that total volume from another location on our system.
Okay. And Director Kavanaugh and I were talking before the meeting too, or at break. If our capacity on LNG is 150, we use 120 or so. Could we ever sell the other 30 for $70 a decatherm?
Yes.
And do we need any authority from any governing body to make that sale, or just a decision of the management team?
Just the management team.
Have we ever thought about putting a plan in place to sell and capture that?
You know, it's really, it is, let me back up a little bit. One, it will depend on, Kendall was asking me a little bit about making some of these decisions. And he asked me, how do you decide on some of these things? I go, well, is it December or the end of February? Because if it's December and you're looking at selling, yes, you can put it back, but you put it back a lot slower than you take it out. So if you're looking at December and selling excess, you may wish you still had that excess when it comes to February. So that is the little bit of a risk that you would be taking.
You don't know if there's another vortex coming.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, if it's the end of February, it looks a little different. And it depends on, you know, how much peak shaving is required for that day. Are we needing 50,000, so we have a lot of excess? Or do we need 130,000 and there's not so much?
Yeah, but it just seems like that's a potential opportunity that we should be ready to pounce on. You know,
Don't worry, the thought is crossing my mind when I'm looking at those prices.
But I have a question about that. Are we able to subsell as a public entity?
We sell excess gas supplies as needed. So that's something that we sometimes have to do just because you'll have bought a certain amount and you get a 60-degree day in January. Northern can charge penalties if you take too much off the pipeline or you don't take enough. So there's days where we have to sell just to get back in balance.
In other words, there isn't a restriction in terms of...
The public would still benefit, if you think about it. Sorry to interrupt, I'm thinking out loud.
You're correct.
It's not as though we all sit around and say, one for you. I mean, it's still to the benefit of the system and to the customer owner, so.
So if we sold, as Director McGowan was mentioning, an extra 10,000 of LNG on a 70 decatherm or $70 day, that'd be 700 grand roughly. That would be a credit to the cost of gas that would flow through to all of our customers. It wouldn't impact MUDs.
It flows direct through to the
Yes,
customers.
it does not impact MUD at all. It goes right to our cost of gas and benefit our customers.
And it's an interesting question. We sell all our gas, but who we sell to might be the question. And we've always been hoping for an opportunity in transportation where we are loading LNG into trucks and tankers for railroads, for example. So you're going to have a lot of options in the future, and we may be wanting to sell gas in the summer as electricity generation keeps going up. It's a whole new scenario.
That enhanced capability of the LNG gives us a lot of flexibility we never had. It's a great thing. It's a great thing. Would it be feasible to sit down and talk to a marketer or broker of natural gas and have them in the wings that if we decide we're going to sell or we want to sell, all we have to do is call the broker instead of looking for a market, call them?
You know, all of our suppliers are also potential buyers. We're just as in tune to be able to do that ourselves. We don't need to share some of those. That's what you'd be doing. We don't need them. We really don't.
So if you have the opportunity, you can pull the trigger and do it right away.
Yep. All of our contracts with all of our suppliers allow us to buy and sell. That's part of the base contract.
Okay, great. And like you said, towards the end of the season, if we have quite a bit of inventory in the tank and an opportunity comes, you know, we can take more risk at the end of February than December, like you said.
Yep.
I'm very confident that this group looks at every opportunity and the decisions made are really sound. Our ratepayers are really fortunate that we have these facilities.
They certainly are, and like Stephanie's letter said, $27 million in savings in gas costs because of this LNG plant is very valuable. That's a great benefit to the ratepayers and certainly offsets some of the capital costs that we put in for that.
Yeah, I'm expecting about a 5-year payback on that LNG investment.
That's awesome, yeah. And it's a very simple calculation, as you know. The cost of our peak shaving supplies, 5 and 10, subtract that out, and you end up with $27 million, if you would have bought on spot at those prices.
And I know I've talked with Stephanie, and she's made the change too, and the monthly report where you have savings in gas costs because of all your bonded gas you purchase and everything. I said, let's put in LNG savings because it does. Right now we're saying $27 million. So our next report should show that $27 million to our customers.
Yes, it will.
Thank you.
Bolded.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Right here? Okay. I think we're on the same page. Public comment. Are there any members of the public in attendance today who would like to address the board? Turn this over. Thank you. Do any of the board members or the management have any further comments they would like to share?
Actually, I do. Bonnie, if I could ask you, do you have any experience with any of the job fairs like at Iowa West or Metro? We're going to start my other job. We're going to start joining in and trying to recruit that way. And I wondered if you had any experience. Are they worthwhile?
Thank you.
And do you participate in those?
Thank you, Director Kavanaugh. Bonnie Savine, Vice President of Human Resources. We do participate in about 30 career events throughout the year, primarily focused on the spring and the summer. We have 10, I think, that we were just talking about this morning in our staff meeting that are coming up. We do find them valuable. We try to share the wealth and participate in a variety of both educational career fairs as well as community groups, such as the Urban League of Nebraska or Latino Center of the Midlands. And so we do have representation there. Most of the time, well, all of the time, there is an HR representative, but when we can, we do reach out and have a partner from the business unit of the focus of the fair. So for example, if it is a technical career fair, we might have somebody from the transportation group. If it is an engineering career fair, IT, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, MCC, we focus mostly here in the Omaha metro area, but we do go to Lincoln as well for UNL's fairs. So.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, we do a variety of them, but I was particularly interested in Iowa West and Metro, if that.
Absolutely.
Are they very valuable too?
Yes, the community colleges provide us a lot of access to students that are focused on trades careers, which we have several of.
Thank you. I know the security at Metro is a little iffy, but thank you, though.
You're welcome.
Can't argue with somebody that still calls it Metro Tech. They dropped that in '93. That's where he's at.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Any? Okay, thank you. The meeting is now concluded, and we will convene for the regular meeting at, let's say, 2:30. Oh, no, 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 no. call the meeting to order. I am Gwen Howard, Chair of the Metropolitan Utilities District Board of Directors, and I would like to welcome you all to the regular monthly board meeting this afternoon, February 4th, 2026. This meeting is being live streamed from the boardroom at the M.U.D headquarters building, located at 7350 World Communications Drive, and a recording of this meeting will be uploaded to the M.U.D website after the meeting's conclusion. Roll call.
Cook. Here. Friend.
Here.
Sidzik.
Here.
McGowan.
Here.
Howard.
Here.
Kavanaugh.
Here.
Begley.
Here.
I would like to advise all those in attendance that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available on the wall in the back of the boardroom, right back there. Pledge of Allegiance. And now for those who wish to participate, we will recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes of the committee meetings and regular board meeting for January 7th, 2026.
I move for approval.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Cook.
Aye.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Capital expenditures, Director Friend.
Thank you. This is item number 5. It was discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Kendall Minor dated January 29th.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Acceptance of contracts and payment of final estimates, Director Friend.
Item number 6, also discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Trevor Tonagis dated January 27th.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Change order number 4, Platte West Water Production Facility Lime Grit Removal Systems Upgrade. Phew. Director Friend.
I'll just call it item number 7, change order number 4.
Go for it.
Also discussed in committee, I move approval as outlined in the memo from Emily Hovda Walton dated January 14th.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Bids on materials and contracts, Director Friend.
Thank you. Item number 8, also discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Sherry Lightfoot dated January 24th.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Main extensions, again, Director Friend.
Thank you. Also, again, discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Masania dated January 23rd.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Wage and/or salary increases and ratifications. Director Begley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval of the wage and/or salary increases and ratifications as discussed in committee this afternoon and outlined in Ms. Savine's memo dated January 29, 2026.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
SPA annual salary scale adjustment. Director Begley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval of the recommended SPA salary increase adjustments in the amount of 4% as discussed in committee this afternoon and outlined in Ms. Savine's memo dated January 30th, 2026.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
First legislative report of 2026, Director Kavanaugh.
I move for approval of the recommendations by the management team at the direction of Rick Kubat. And this is the first one, so it does require that we...
McGowan's going to do it.
I'm sorry? Oh, it does require that we vote on it. So I move for approval.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Cook?
Yes.
Friend?
Yes.
Sidzik?
Yes.
McGowan?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Begley?
Yes.
Item 13, condemnation authority. This was presented in committee, and the district is recommending that the board authorize the use of eminent domain to acquire permanent easements for 2 locations, the intersection of Blair High Road and Bennington Road, and also McGill Industrial Park subdivision north 108th Street and Rainwood Road, and I move for approval.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Cook?
Yes.
Friend?
Yes.
Sidzik?
Yes.
McGowan?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Begley?
Yes.
Proposed revisions to OPEC investment policy statement. Director McGowan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve the revisions to the investment policy statement for the other post-employment benefits trust as presented in the committee meetings and outlined in the letter from Steve Dickus dated January 27, 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? Yes, Director Cook.
I was just getting ready to.
We appreciate your words of wisdom, though.
Yes, I thought it was a great meeting, as I said, and my dog Cece did too.
Good.
Good discussion during this committee meeting.
Right. Roll call.
Cook?
Yes.
Friend?
Yes.
Sidzik?
Yes.
McGowan?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Begley?
Yes.
Other matters of district business for discussion. Do any board members or management have any further comments that they'd like to wish to share? And Mark Mendenhall is going to be sharing in a moment.
All right, thank you, Chairperson Howard. Mark Mendenhall, Senior Vice President, General Counsel. Want to take a few moments here to remind and encourage all in the room, all listening live or on the stream, and then all doing really business or working with us to register for the Heat the Streets Run and Walk for Warmth. It is Saturday, March 7th. As with other years, we have a 10K, a 5K, a 2-mile walk, and then we do also offer a virtual run and walk. This is at the Exarban Village. You can find more information and register at heatthestreetsomaha.com. I believe Jay is putting it up here right now. And just can't emphasize enough how really meaningful this event is. 100% of the proceeds goes towards utility assistance right here in Omaha. The need is great, and we greatly appreciate the commitment towards the community for all of the sponsorships here. I don't know if Braden has already left here, but just wanted to call out that's an individual that I think he's coming up from Kansas City to run the 5K, and so we really appreciate the partnerships with entities like PNC that we do business with. I think it demonstrates a sincere commitment to this community because, as I said, everything goes back towards utility assistance. So log in, register. I'm sure it'll be a cold day, bundle up, but love to see you out here. So thank you, appreciate it.
How many decatherms is that? Cold?
I will leave that to Mr. Knight.
Mark, what was the website again?
Heatthestreetsomaha.com. Org. Heatthestreetsomaha.org. Well, it's yep. I've seen it both. I've got it on my phone at com, and Mr. Roberts has it at org. I do not know why that is, but looks like you can find it both places. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public present who would like to address the board? Okay. We will now go into closed session. Do we have a motion?
I make the motion that we go into closed session to discuss
Yep.
personnel issues.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Cook?
Yes.
Friend?
Yes.
Sidzik?
Yes.
McGowan?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Begley?
Yes.
For all attendees other than the directors and the designated staff, you may leave by the exit at the rear of the boardroom. Thank you. Do we have a motion to return to open session? Mike?
I move that we go back into open session.
Second. Thank you. Discussion? Roll call.
Cook?
Yes.
Friend?
Yes.
Sidzik?
Yes.
McGowan?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Begley?
Yes.
Are there any of the directors or members of the public present who have any comments to share?
Kendall?
Really quick, I just wanted to say that, number one, thank you guys for all your support. Number two, Mark and I have talked with engineering and construction to talk through a lot of our manpower scheduling things earlier as they come up and as they arise, and what we're going to be doing from a constructability standpoint, document those things to make sure that we have all those things tracked around who's doing what, how we're going about making those decisions, just so you guys have that clarity. So I just want to make sure you guys are aware. Thank you.
Okay, all good?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Is there a second? Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Cook?
Yes.
Friend?
Yes.
Sidzik?
Yes.
McGowan?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Begley?
Yes.
Wait.
Not till she hits the...